of bullshit, and we're here to call it out. Real talk, raw truth, and plenty of spice. Welcome to She Who Thrives.
We're your hosts, Caitlin,
Mindy,
and Harrison.
And March is Women's History Month, so we are making this week all about strong women energy, confidence, boundaries, and just really owning who you are and stepping into your power.
Being a strong woman doesn't always mean being perfect or having everything figured out. It means knowing your worth, standing up for yourself, and not shrinking to make other people feel comfortable.
Obviously, I'm still sick. Yay for me. We're going on day 8.
Yeah.
I'm doing everything I feel like I can, and it's pissing me off. Caitlin's house is snowing, and it's going to be 97 at my house in Harrison's this week. So we have a little different weather going on.
Just a little.
What do you guys think makes a strong woman? Like, when you think about that, what comes to your mind?
I was thinking about this a little bit. And I think being a strong woman is not what everyone thinks. I think it's more about knowing when being strong enough, because as women, like we already have so much going on as wives, as mothers, just as women in general, you know, and feel like no matter what, you just have to keep going, right? You can't fail because you have a spouse, you have kids, like it doesn't matter. You just let it all pile on and you just keep going. You just keep trucking along. But I think being a strong woman is knowing when to ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's something that took me a really long time to figure out, because I'm so stubborn and I feel like I'm a pretty independent person. And I don't like to ask for help, you know, but I think that's changed a lot, especially with my health stuff and being married to Adam, just because there's a different dynamic between him and I, you know, but I feel like I've learned to ask for, you know, hey, whatever it may be. I mean, I'm still stubborn. There are sometimes I don't ask for help, but I've never really thought about it like you just said, you know?
I think, too, not only asking for help, but I think something that I admire about every single, both of you and my own mom, is walking away from a situation knowing that it's going to be incredibly painful at the time, but knowing you have to do it for your future self. You know, obviously, Mindy, with Brad's situation, of course she loved your dad, and of course she would have loved to keep her family together, but she knew what was going to be best for herself and for her kids in that moment. Same thing with you and the kids' dad. And, you know, my mom, there's been times when she's had to walk away from marriages for herself and for her kids. And I think that being a mom now, I admire that so much because it's freaking hard. And it would take everything in me to leave a shitty situation, because I'd be like, holy shit, like it's already hard enough with somebody. I can only imagine doing it by myself. And I admire, and not even just moms, even just women in general, you know, sometimes they just stay because they think it'll be easier. And I think walking away is one of the strongest things that you can do when you're in a bad situation.
Yeah.
I agree. Damn it. Do you guys feel like it is harder to be emotionally strong or physically strong?
Emotionally.
For yourself?
For myself, yeah.
We just naturally, I feel like, put ourselves last. And, you know, we'll put on a front all day long that we are emotionally strong or that everything's fine, like I said, for everybody else. But inside, that's usually not the case.
When I was going to do the high rocks, Chase had made a comment like, do you think you're going to be able to finish it? Because I really hadn't I've been doing strength training for years, but not the specific training that you need for high rocks. And I said, well, failing in front of my kid's not an option. So I'm going to finish it, whether it takes me an hour and a half or 3. Failing isn't an option. So I think when it comes to physical strength, like I know that I'm strong in that aspect, but sometimes like the emotional stuff, both of you know, like depending on what it is, like I'm a freaking crybaby bitch. Like sometimes I just can't be strong emotionally about certain things. I mean, there's some things I can be and you have to be, but sometimes I'm a very emotional person. Poor Jason.
I think as women we're programmed differently though, because of our cycles and all of the things that are inside our bodies. And I think most women are emotional,
Yeah.
that just comes with a vagina basically. So
yeah.
Yeah. I think too, your mom knows, but the other day, like Jason's been working a ton and so he's not been able to help me with the showings of the house, whatever. And I was running out of the house. Brixton had been a turd all day. Memphis was driving me insane. Like his high-pitched cry, I was like, I'm going to knock you out. Anyways, Brixton's starving, so I told him we could go to Chick-fil-A. I pull up, and I couldn't find my debit card anywhere. And I was also in Karsten's truck. So I was like, shit, it's probably in my car. I can't go back to the house because they're going to be there. And the lady was like, it's okay, just order, I'll take care of it. And I rolled up my lip. I am just like sobbing. So I feel like for me, especially when people do kind things, like I'm such a baby.
Yeah, it's hard not to be.
She had no idea how much her kindness meant to me, especially in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, when she called me, I was like, are you crying? She's like, I wasn't, but I am now.
Oh. I think also as women, it's just expected. Like, women are supposed to be emotionally strong, like not physically, but emotionally. Yeah, you got it. Which is stupid because we deal with more and carry more emotionally than anybody else.
Of course.
Why do you think that is? Because that really is how it is. Like, you're supposed to be the one that people look to for that, because you're the strong one during everything. It's kind of weird.
It is weird.
I feel like for me, when it comes to Jason and I, he's definitely way more emotionally strong in our relationship. There's things I'll get so worked up or so stressed about and worry so much about. And he's always the one that's like, look, like, stop worrying about shit that hasn't even happened yet, for one. And I just feel like he is very grounding for me.
Do you think that's because men are just more like logically wired than we are?
Probably.
I'm like, if I'm going through something, if I want to hear the emotional stuff, I'm in that side of it. I'm going to call mom. If I want logic, I'm going to talk to Adam and not mom.
That is how it is. But I think that, once again, it comes with the hardware that you're born with,
Yeah.
Do you guys feel like it's hard for you to stand up for yourself?
I don't. I do feel like it was at one time in my life. Now I probably do it too much.
Yeah, I don't think I do it much, but yeah. It used to be. I don't think it is anymore.
I feel the same way. I feel like probably in high school, I would have just let somebody mouth off. In fact, in high school, a girl and I had gotten into an argument, and I remember just like sitting there like, oh my gosh, this girl looks insane, because it was at like the end of school when everyone's like going to their buses and there was like all these people. And I just like sat there and let her yell at me. But I think if something like that were to happen now, my mouth would be moving. I wouldn't just standing there.
I think that's like partially mama bear instincts too. Like when you get those, you also learn to stand up for yourself more.
Yeah.
I think even standing up for other people more, like when you're seeing somebody be mistreated in a workplace or an environment and you're like, hell no, we're not doing that.
Do you guys have women in your life that you look up to as really strong women that you feel like certain parts of them you want to emulate?
You, duh.
I mean, I think I think most of the time probably a mother is, one that you always will look up to. But there's things just in you too, that I can see now that I'm like, oh, I wish that I was better at that when I was their age, or I mean, certain things you guys do even now that I think as a 51-ish person that I could do better, from watching you guys. So I think you can, I mean, a mother is always one that you're like, okay. I was thinking about mothers the other day. I read something on social media and they were like crushing this mother, just being so horrible in the comments
Oh.
for, what she looked like, and the kind of clothes her kids wore and the food that she was feeding her kids. But her kids were clean. They were fully clothed. They didn't have on dirty clothes or holy clothes. And, what she was feeding them, okay, maybe some other parents wouldn't feed their children that, but it was a meal,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some people stay away from processed stuff. Some people stay away from fried stuff, whatever. But she fed those kids, and you can tell in everything that her kids are happy kids, And I was like, who are we to judge what any mother should be like?
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, I think what we try to do is the best that we know how to do
Yeah.
with what we've learned.
And what we have.
And yes, a lot of times you can be pretty harsh and judgy about that kind of stuff, or even like if you see a kid throwing a fit in the grocery store and you're like, oh, damn, I'd take you out and whoop your ass. I wouldn't take you out and whoop your ass, but I'd like to. But, you throw a little judgment sometimes and you're like, my way is not the only way. I guess that's with everything though,
I
But
feel
I
like
think more grace, especially for mothers.
I think I had that tendency for a long time, like out in public to see a kid acting a certain way or throwing a fit and be like, ooh, they must be bad parents or they must do this at home or whatever. And I have found myself a lot more recently being like, oh, I just feel for her,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she's having a rough day. Maybe she's doing the best she can. Like I saw a mom in Walmart the other day with a toddler and a baby who was hysterical the whole time, like a little tiny baby. And I just wanted to give her a hug,
Yeah, it's tough.
It is tough.
It's like when I had shared on TikTok, which it's been deleted now, but the thing about formula, I got obliterated. Like it luckily I'm the type of, I know I'm a good mom. I know these people were being assholes and it was projection of themselves. Like I didn't take what they said to heart, but I was like, you know what? If I was a mom who was I was newly postpartum, but maybe like a first time mom or somebody who is just in the dumps mentally, and I was getting these comments, like they were bad, mean comments. And I was like, holy crap, we are talking about because I am unable. Well, I guess it was more of a decision with my second baby to just do formula, but with Brixton, it really wasn't an option. Like, I just stopped making milk and I had to do formula. And there's tons of moms out there that are like that. And to think that there's that much judgment on formula versus breast milk was like so eye-opening to me. Because it's
I
the
think we
same.
both commented on that.
Yeah, it was crazy.
We both got a little off of that.
I was very angry.
And I nursed all my kids, and so did she. So
Yeah.
Obviously, I knew that breast milk is obviously the healthiest thing you can give a newborn. I'm not dumb, but formula is better than nothing. So I don't know why people think like I'm just feeding my newborn water instead of formula or something.
Yeah, and Jed is a very happy baby, so.
And a bit
and
very
fat.
Very fat.
Do you guys feel like the older you get, the more confident you get? Or do you feel like it stays the same?
I think mine has grown. I don't think it's necessarily age. I think it is more experiences and where you're at in your life.
Growth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Adam's cousin came to town this week and he stayed with us for a couple days. We haven't seen him for probably like 10 years. And so that was really the first time I've ever like really hung out with him and really been able to have a conversation. Anyway, we were talking about some stuff one night and kind of got into people pleasing. And, I was telling him how that's always something that really concerned me, is if people liked me. And I always did what I could, to make sure of that. To where now, I don't care. If you don't like me, something's wrong with you, obviously. I just don't care anymore. I mean, I'm not a bitch, but I am not going to try to make every person like me.
At the end of the day, what good does that do for you anyway?
None. Stresses you out.
Exactly. I spent a whole lot of years in a very unhappy relationship because I wanted to please people. I wanted people to like me, and I did not want to be judged. And that was it. And how dumb was that?
It was dumb.
It was very dumb.
I think actually one thing, I don't know if this would necessarily be a struggle. I feel like I am so empathetic of people, even if they're like shitty people, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, someone will do something dirty to me and I'll be like, man, I feel so bad. Like, why do I feel bad? Like, I shouldn't feel bad, but I think that's just being like a human.
It's funny that you say that because when I was watching the Love is Blind reunion and everyone was like digging on Chris, which he deserved it, but I had that. I like felt bad for him because I'm like, this whole crew is ganging up on him. And all the online trolls who type whatever they want because they're assholes went off on him after that, it made me feel bad for him.
I was telling Chasen that exact same thing because I even said the producers, who is it, Nick Lachey or whatever?
They're not the producers, but
whatever, the people that are interviewing. Yes. They are a huge part of the problem because I feel like they egg it on. And I'm like, it would be one thing for them to receive hate from their fellow cast members, but they're getting it from all over the place. And I'm like, people are so brutal. Like, they will send death threats. They'll tell you to kill yourself. And I'm like, nobody deserves that. Like, nobody deserves that.
Yeah. Because even if you are a stupid adult, it's still bullying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yes, the things that he had said were hurtful, and I think they were wrong, and I think that he could have gone about that whole thing a totally different way. But at the end of the day, like, he obviously has a type, and he obviously is not one of those people who thinks love is blind, because he does care about what his wife looks like, which is fine. Like, there's gonna be people like that.
I care what my husband looks like. I'm gonna marry an ugly troll. Like, I wanted him to be attractive. I wanted him to be taller than me. I wanted him to look like he did. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No, it was just the
You
delivery.
want to be turned on by your partner.
Right.
He just maybe shouldn't have said it the way he did.
Right.
Yeah. That. I don't know. Even in that instance, I'm like, you could have lied. Just said, like, the connection wasn't there. Like, say anything but body shame, for hell's sake.
Yeah, you still could have said, that's not my typical type, and left it at that.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like a confident woman doesn't need everyone to approve of her.
She just needs to like herself.
Yes, you're confident in yourself, knowing who you are, knowing what you stand for, knowing what you deserve, knowing what you won't put up with. And at the end of the day, if you don't like that, I am a strong woman. Peace out, Girl Scout.
Right. When did you start feeling, I guess, more confident in yourself, or the most confident?
I think a couple of things. I think I felt more confident when I felt like I started to get the hang of being a mom. After I had Brixton, it was literally like I ran into a brick wall. I was like, holy shit, what just hit me? I thought I was ready. I was young. It was scary. My postpartum was scary. And I was like, not confident at all. Not in being a mom, not in being a wife, nothing. And I think that, honestly, competing is what helped me so much with that. Not even because of what I looked like, but because I was like, I can be dedicated myself. I can hopefully am good mom, and I can be a good wife. And I think that having something that I could work towards every single day, like, and stick with, made me very confident. I also think going from different phases in, like, your body with, like, gaining weight, losing weight, then gaining it again with Jet. I was like, after I had Jet, I remember thinking I gained pretty much double with that pregnancy. And I was like, holy shit, like, how am I ever going to lose this weight? This is the most I've ever weighed. I never in my life thought I was going to see that number on a scale. And it's not just about the weight loss, but also knowing, like, there's not a rush, and I feel like over this time, I'm now 9 months postpartum, and I feel like I'm starting to get back to the place of, like, feeling confident in my own skin, but not just because of what I look like, but because, again, I'm starting to, like, get the hang of being a mom of two now. And I feel like over the past even few months, mine and Chasen's marriage has grown a lot better. Not that it was ever bad, but I think that our communications continued to get better, and we have good conversations. And I don't know, I just feel like I'm probably the most confident I've ever been now. And it's not just physical stuff. I think it's just, like you said, knowing I'm a good person, I'm a good mom, I'm a good wife, and I'm a good friend. I feel like I'm probably a better friend to most people than they are to me.
At the end of the day, when I could look in the mirror and know that everything I did that day was the best that I could do to be the best version of whatever it was, whether that be a wife, knowing that I put my husband first, I respect him, I don't have wandering eyes, I am completely in love with him, I cherish him, whether it's a mother, whether it's a grandma, whether it's a friend, whether it's an employee, whatever it may be, that I did what I know to be the best that I could to be that, I think in that, I guess to sum it up, living authentically.
Yeah.
Is when I became the most confident. No secrets, no shit that I shouldn't be doing, like, here it is, like, well, the skeletons are out, and this is what I'm doing now, and I'm living authentically to who I am and what I want to be. And I think that's when my confidence skyrocketed.
Yeah, couldn't agree more with both of those. I also think, it's different, like you said, when maybe you are showing up for your kids in all of these ways and your spouse and XYZ, but you're sacrificing your own mental health to do all those things, right? It's not the same. You don't have the same confidence as when you're, okay, I'm also prioritizing me, however that looks, but I'm also showing up to cheer my kids on in basketball today. And I'm also taking Ava to do this. And my husband and I also, are in a great place in doing this, and that, And yeah. And I also made 6 dozen cookies today, and I'm proud of that,
I don't care what people say, sex makes the marriage better.
1,000%.
If you're having good sex where you're both getting something from it, it's not a one-sided.
Yeah, you're not doing open
communication. Yes, you have open communication during that sex. It's not something that you have to do. It's something that you want to do.
Yeah.
You have a very good marriage.
Yeah.
The other day I called your mom and I was like telling her, I'm like, this is such a weird conversation to have with you. But I chat GPT'd a question last night and it was like shocking to me because, and this is weird to even tell you, like, I wouldn't want to know this about my brother. So I'm sorry, but I almost every single time after Chase and I have sex, which is most days of the week, when we get in the shower after, we like debrief, like we talk about it. And I was like, I wonder, like, statistically, like, how many couples do that? Or if they, like, have sex and then just, like, don't talk about it. They just roll over and go to bed or whatever it may be. And it was, like, 20 or 30% of people talk about it. And I said to your mom, I'm like, do you and Adam? Like, I was thinking this was, like, such a normal thing to do is, like, talk about it. And now I'm realizing it's obviously not. If only 20 to 30% of people do it. And she was like, yeah, like we do, you talk about if you like this or that or whatever. And it's crazy that most couples don't do that.
Yeah. You're like, but you did this and you should keep doing that.
I know that you guys don't want to hear about my stuff, but you already know that we do. So last night he said something about, I call that position tattoo up. And I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, because your tattoo is facing up. And I'm like, what if I'm on the other side? And he's like, I always have you on that side with your tattoo up. He invented the tattoo up position.
Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta know.
Yeah, but you also be like, hey, I had a list of like, top 5 times, and that just, made it on the list.
Yeah, like, what with that? Do that again.
Oh, that's my butt.
I said,
Don't go to that.
Not your birthday.
I said, also talk about things you don't like. Like, stop trying to shove your finger in my butt. If it's not going in it, it's not supposed to be in there. Stop shoving.
Spit on it first.
Unless I backed it up into you, stay away from it.
Unless the garage.
I don't want a finger in my butt. I don't want a finger in my butt.
Okay, I don't care.
I am too insecure about my poop shoot. It's not regular. I don't want you touching a little turd ball when you're up there. Like,
that's true.
Don't put a finger in my butt.
You don't want a fudgy finger after this.
I'm not worried about a fudgy finger. I don't hate the finger. I just hate if it's dry trying to be shoved in. I don't want that. That hurts.
Well, nobody want nothing dry shoved in them.
And anywhere, no.
Well, men need to realize
Ow.
this.
Ow.
Don't say it.
I also,
How much you might have to cut out.
it's not like they don't, we're
It's not-
not having sex. Grandma and grandpa probably be doing the finger too.
That's
No.
not okay.
No, they don't. I think all the butt stuff is like newer.
Really?
I wonder this. I wonder if like back in the pioneer days, if all they did was like sex. And then like in so many years or hundreds of years or whatever, then oral sex.
People just got more curious over time.
I think so. I think it's just kind of evolved a little bit with time.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's some freaky deakies.
It's like a relationship, though. The more comfortable you get, the more you
Explore.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want to keep it boring your whole life. Who wants boring sex for the rest of your life? I didn't sign up for that shit.
Right.
No.
You guys feel comfortable in your own bodies when you're having sex with your spouse?
Yeah. Recently, I know me and your mom have talked about this before. We think lingerie is dumb. But recently I have been wearing it and it's actually like, oh, this is kind of fun. It's kind of cute. I think if
Well,
you find the right outfit that you feel like confident in, and it's not just like your regular lace bra and underwear or something.
Mm-hmm.
like I told him, I'm like, I would love for, like when we went to the Bahamas, I'm like, do you want me to take something sexy for every night while we're there? Like if he says yes, I'm all about it. But I would rather him or even like go buy me something, and then, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I also think too, like, just like anything else, if that's all you do every single night, that gets old, like
Yeah.
sometimes just bare bones it, or, like sometimes they have a favorite, just regular stuff,
Well, and sometimes you're like fresh out of the shower where even your hair's wet, I'm like, I'm not putting on like, yeah, I feel like a drowned rat. I don't want to be putting on some sexy nightie right now.
No.
90? Oh my God.
Put on a big shirt with let your cheeks hang out.
Yeah. Even yesterday when he came home, I just had on like I put it on like later in the day, but it was just kind of like a romper, and it had like sleeves and just covered my butt mostly, but then it just has like lace like right here and it buttons and lace right. It wasn't like lingerie, but yeah, even like stuff like that, you'll be like, damn, men are visual.
Yeah, I'll be like, did you put that on purpose? Didn't even think about it.
He's like, where'd you get in that lingerie? And I said, these are the pajamas you bought for me. And I was like, it's not even lingerie. It's like these little booty shorts and like a flowy little tank top. It's not lingerie at all. I was like, I wore it to bed last night. Did you not notice?
Do you guys feel like if you're sexually confident, there is shame behind that as a woman?
If you're sexually confident with everyone, then yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
But do you feel like if it's something that you talk about even, and I know a lot of people are different sexually, I know there's a lot of people that only have sex to procreate, period, the end. I do it because I like it. I don't want no kids. And what a sad world to think I couldn't have sex with my husband because we're not procreating.
Yeah.
Like that is sad to me.
That's never actually crossed my mind that people only have sex to have kids.
Yeah. Crazy. But, I think if people know, even like what we've been talking about, there's going to be judgment from some people from the conversation we just had.
I think that if you're openly talking about sex, looked at wrong depending on who you're having those conversations with. Like if you're sitting there talking about sex all the time with your male coworker, that's inappropriate and you shouldn't be doing that. But if you're like
Right.
talking sex with your girlfriends or whatever, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Yeah.
Ever get embarrassed when you're talking about it? I know sometimes you do with me. You're like, I know you're his mom.
Yeah, but I think that most people in this world would rather do anything else besides talk about sex with their mother-in-law. So
Yeah, me and my mother-in-law don't talk about sex.
so I wouldn't say I'm like embarrassed, but I'm like, okay, I have to like look at it as, hey, she's not just your friend, she's also his mom.
Censor yourself a little.
I think it is good that women are more open with it, with their sexuality, not necessarily, like you said, sleeping with every human, but just knowing that this is for me as well. I deserve to feel good as well. This is not just for a male, and I can enjoy it. And it makes me feel everything powerful and sexy.
Connected.
And yeah, there's times where I can completely be in control of everything, and you will not do anything until I want you to. And that's a pretty badass feeling.
Yeah.
Imagine Adam tied up like a little rat.
Oh my gosh.
I don't tie him up and beat him. I'm just meanie.
She's like, shut up. Let me tell you to talk.
Only talk when I say.
I told you, no more wearing those shorts this week.
I told you guys he found those shorts. He found both pairs and he put them on his shelf. I took one of them. I was like, you can only have one pair.
So mean.
I know, but I hate him. I feel like from things that I've learned that we really are the most powerful sex.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Females are the most powerful. And it's going to sound so weird, but I feel like because we do have a vagina and all the other things inside, yeah, but so powerful in so many different ways, it's crazy. And I think if women get in touch with that,
You're unstoppable.
yeah,
Mm.
really are.
What's something you think women get judged for that they shouldn't? Everything.
Well, we already talked about it, sexuality. Even if a woman just had sex, she found out she had sex with 5 people versus a man that had sex with 5 people, there's a huge difference there.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's nothing wrong with having sex with multiple people as long as those other people aren't married.
True, yeah.
You're both
Like-
adults. You both have harem parties.
Yeah, if you're one of those people who, like, I'm not one of those people who can sleep with someone and not have feelings for them. Like, that's just not how I am. And I've known that as like such a young person that I've been with 2 people in my entire life, which is the only 2 people I've ever even dated. And I'm always like, I just don't get how people can like go have sex and like think nothing about it the next day. But there's men and there's women that are like that. I had a friend actually that was like that, and I was just like, girl, I don't know how you do that. And she's like, I like your sex. That was that. Some people don't like have a feeling associated with it. But yeah, I think that's the biggest difference between men and women is if a woman sleeps with all these men, then she's disgusting and she's a whore and she's a horrible person. But if a guy does, it's almost like, what is it?
Incorrect. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, I think that's one of the biggest things women get judged for, but I don't know. There are a lot of things you get judged after you have kids, whether you breastfed or formula fed, or, like you said, what you feed them, or now
Even
you dress too much like a mom, or you have kids, like you shouldn't dress that way, or you stay home, or you get a job. Like, you're going to be judged regardless.
aging, I think, is even one that you guys probably wouldn't understand at this point, but
Yes, I do.
yeah.
Something that I've noticed has become a huge topic. I feel like, you know, back in the day, let's say, it was normal for, the dad to go to work, the mom to stay home. And I feel like as, times have changed, there's a lot more women who are working. Their kids go to daycare or they get a nanny. But I feel like either way, you're judged, because if you're a working mom, you're judged because you're missing out on the best years of your kid's life, regardless if you want to work or not. Like, some people have to work. But then if you're a stay-at-home mom, I've noticed that you're being judged for relying on your husband for income. Oh, I could never rely on a man for my income. And I'm like, what? Like, we're judging women based off of their income now, essentially. Like, if you're not working, then you're not worthy. But if you're not staying at home, then you're also not a good mom. So it's like,
You're a bad
you
mom.
can't.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
it's funny because Taylor, you guys know Taylor, but she's my best friend, and her and I are completely opposite when it comes to being moms. We have different opinions on vaccines, and she's a full-time working mom, and I'm a stay-at-home mom. And like, she does, I guess not everything is opposite about us, but there are some things that are very different when it comes to parenting. And I don't think that anyone could look at us and say she's a better mom than the other one. Like, we're both good moms. We just do things different.
I think the lesson here, especially as women, we need to try and not be so judgmental.
We need to give each other grace as well as ourselves.
Yep.
Yeah.
Agreed.
If your kids are happy and healthy, and you're happy in your marriage and everything is good, and you're taking care of your mental health, who gives a shit what anybody else thinks?
I agree. And like you said, the mental health side of it is huge. Getting therapy, if you need therapy, do it. All the tools that you can have in your back pocket, the more tools, the better.
Me and Louise were actually talking about that yesterday, and I was like, in some situations, you choose what you didn't choose to heal in yourself. That's like, it's reflected, right? And I was like, my mom tried so hard. Like, you have a lot of things you need to heal. You need to go to therapy. And I'm like, shut up. You need therapy. Like, you're being annoying. But I'm like, I will, like Brecklin already is, but I will really advocate for that for my kids, like, forever.
Yeah, it's huge.
Strong women don't have to be loud. They don't have to be perfect. They're simply women who know their worth and refuse to shrink for themselves or for anybody. So, know your worth.
This week's tip goes right into that. It's just stop apologizing for who you are. Your voice, your confidence, your boundaries, and even your sexuality are not things that you need permission for. Take up space, own who you are, and don't shrink yourself to make other people feel comfortable.
Yeah.
And remember how powerful you are as a woman. We are born to create life. I know some of us have a struggle doing that, and that is fine. But the fact that we can do that, like, we are powerful.
Love it. Thank you for hanging out with us on today's episode of She Who Thrives. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with a friend. We will be back next Wednesday with a brand new episode. But until then, remember, no matter what you're doing, do it to the best of your ability and always strive to thrive. See you next time.
Toodles.